Have you ever been hanging around some people and by the time you leave, you feel so tired? Like you could physically feel like you've just been drained, like completely drained. You're ready to take a nap. You just don't want to talk to anybody else for the rest of the day. Your social battery is just on E. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kimmy, your favorite yachty gal. If you are new here, then welcome. Please consider joining the family because we are one big happy family over here. And if you're not new here, y'all, you already know I got so much love for you. I appreciate you coming back to spend some time with me week after week. Y'all, okay, so today's video I'm beyond so excited about because, oh my Lord, I'm on a spiritual journey of some sorts, and in the last 2 years, the Lord has just completely transformed my life, like from the inside out. Have you ever peeled a banana and it's just like what you see on the outside is just completely different from what's on the inside? That's exactly how I feel right now. And I'm just pouring out of my overflow because I'm just so overwhelmed with joy and just everything that God's been doing in my life that, you know, I feel like he's instructed me to share the good news, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do because baby, I want to put you on, okay? I feel like I want to bring as many girlies with me. And guys, if you feel like you're just stuck in a rut or there's just so many things about your life that you would love to change and you just don't know the first step, then this is definitely going to be a channel for you to subscribe to. We are on a positive life journey. We're just working at being our best self every single day. So if that's a journey that you also want to embark on, then definitely hit the subscribe button. You ever been around some people and they're just so draining, like you can actually feel your social battery just going all the way down until it's on E? Like by the time you're done hanging around or interacting with these people, you are ready for a nap. You have no energy to deal with any more conversation or people time for the rest of the day. Yeah, you're not alone, but we're definitely gonna talk about it. Y'all, in the last 2 years, my social circle has completely done a whole 360. Right now, I don't even know where to say that I am as far as like my social circle. I don't even think it's a circle at all. It's barely even a semi-circle. I am somewhat in a season of wilderness right now, which I'm completely okay with. And I'm gonna share with you guys just what the Lord has revealed to me. Just about the topic of like friendships and just allowing yourself to be aligned with the wrong people and just how dangerous that is for your life. Of course, I'm going to start off with a little bit of scripture. I looked up some things just to see what, you know, God says about friendships and just who you align yourself with and stuff like that. So I'm going to read a couple of verses. We're going to read... So from 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33, it says, "Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals." Then we have Proverbs 13 verse 20 that says, "Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm." Okay, you might not want to hear this, and I'm probably gonna ruffle a lot of feathers today, but we're gonna talk about some of the friends you have limiting the amount of time that you spend with them, right? Because they're just so draining. They literally suck the life out of you, and it's honestly just holding you back from being able to progress in life, and we can't have that. Over the past 2 years, my life has literally done a full 360. Like God has been doing some deep soul work. And one of the areas in which he's been dealing with me was in my friendships, and not just friendships, but just people that I was spending all my time with, right? I was literally being burnt out by just the amount of social interactions that I had in a day. I'm a little bit of backstory. I'm a service provider. I've been a hair and makeup artist for this year makes 10 years. And then I've also, before this, not anymore, but I used to be a waitress for about 13 years. So for maybe about like 5-6 years, I was simultaneously waitressing, and then on the weekends I would do my bridal services. So as you can imagine, I spent all my time around people, and then to make matters worse, from being overwhelmed with all the people interactions that I would have, instead of spending time alone to just like recuperate and recharge my social battery, I would feel like my solution to just feeling drained was to actually spend more time with people. So then I would go out in my spare time with like more friends, and I would go out drinking or hanging out or just whatever. But there was rarely any time that I was actually spending just alone in my own thoughts and everything, obviously, which obviously hindered me from being able to hear from God, being able to even hear my own thoughts, being able to regulate and just really be in tune with my own emotion, and just, you know, like just be spiritually sensitive to things that are going on around me. But like I said, in the last 2 years, God's really been working on me, and he sort of like forcefully isolated me from everybody. And the journey was, it wasn't scary. I don't think at any point in time, actually, I was about to say it was, but truthfully it was not. I don't even think it was something that I really, like, it wasn't like a drastic change, you know what I mean? It wasn't like overnight that I was like, oh, I'm not gonna hang out with my friends anymore. I think it was a gradual thing, and then I recently just realized, wow, like I kind of don't hang out anymore. And since then, I've really noticed so many changes in myself. So if you feel like you just feel really tired and frustrated, unmotivated, just like you're in a funk, this might be one of the areas of your life that you might need to sit down and just dissect a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna share with you guys a few habits of people that are just like socially draining, and then you can kind of like go down the list of people that you interact with like on a regular basis and sort of see who checks off what boxes. And then we're also gonna talk about some habits that you can put in place to sort of just like manage your time a little bit better and set boundaries for yourself, just to make sure that you're not just allowing people to walk all over you and just like draining your social battery. Okay, one of the character traits that I noticed of some of my friends, and like not even just friends, honestly, family members, associates, whoever it is that you're around that just like really could just suck the life out of you, is that they are extremely codependent. And by that I mean they just can't, they're like children, you know what I mean? Like they just can't self-soothe. Like if they come across any slight inconvenience in their life or anything, or if something upsets them, which actually usually happens quite frequently in people that are just not emotionally mature, they get angry really easily. They're easily triggered. They're usually almost always in victim mode, and they don't know how to self-soothe. So that's sort of like 4 habits all in one, and they might not all be present at the same time, but a lot of times what I've found is that those traits kind of like feed off of each other. So because they're not emotionally mature enough to learn how to self-soothe and just like regulate their emotions, it sort of allows them to always be like on guard. They always think that somebody's like talking about them, or that people are out to get them. They just like almost like look for things to be upset about, and then it's just like being around them, it's like always something, you know what I mean? Like, do you have those friends that every time y'all go out, they always end up being like, oh, why is that girl looking at me? Or just saying some random stuff that you're like, what? Like, that girl's probably not even thinking about you, or she looked at you for like 2 seconds, but in their brain, I don't know what it is, but they just always think that there's some covert mission and that people are out to get them. And then, I mean, if it was just an internal thought, that would be one thing, but what makes it really especially draining is because most times they get so triggered that they just tend to go on and on and on about it, and they can't stop. Because like I mentioned, they cannot self-soothe. So they don't know how, like even in a situation where maybe it is warranted for them to be upset, they don't know how to just like woosah, like take a breath, how to just go to their internal space and just take a second, like even if it is to excuse themselves from you, be like, hold on, I just need a minute, and to probably go somewhere quietly, do breathing exercises or whatever it is that they do to just like regulate themselves. They don't have any system set up to really help them to go from 10 probably back down to a 5 or something. So then they really rely on you to sort of talk them through what happened, to like listen to them vent, and then you have to sort of like help them see the bright side of things and be like, oh, don't worry about it, da, da, da. Like you always have to be their shoulder to lean on. Another habit I noticed with people that were really socially draining my battery was that they were excessive complainers. The glass was always half empty, like never half full. They would easily be able to find like the negative side of things. And I mean, yes, you can't always be positive, but when somebody's always negative, it's so draining. And just being around them, you can literally feel after a while of just hearing them complain and complain and complain. I would find myself to be like in a really bad mood as well. I would start being easily annoyed and just like triggered almost as well. So it's like they literally dragged me down into this sunken place with them because they just were not able to just, you know, just find a little positivity in a day. It could be the most beautiful day and they would still just find something to complain about. Another habit is that, sort of just like the last one, people who trauma dump a lot. Now this one is sort of like not really a gray area, because trauma dumping is definitely so draining, especially if it's habitual. Now I definitely have friends who, you know, like we vent. Yeah, what's the point of having a friend if you can't talk to them when you are in your time of need, right? But it's all about balance. If you have somebody who maybe when you're talking, let's say you're on the phone for an hour, they're not like sharing their highs and lows of the day. They're just constantly talking about maybe like things from their childhood, like their traumatic experiences in life, and they are almost like mentally trapped in these scenarios of some very heavy things that has happened to them in life. And they, like, you're their go-to person. So they're gonna call you and just be like, oh my gosh, like I'm just having a really bad day today, you know, like ever since my mom did this, or just like whatever the situation is. And it sucks because a lot of times when people are trauma dumping, it's some really heavy stuff. Like it's not just, oh, when I was in high school, like people try to bully me. It's like sometimes sexual assault, like extreme abuse from like parents and loved ones, like some very heavy things that definitely stick with you after they vented and they feel much better. They're like, thanks for listening to me, thanks for letting me vent. But then they hang up the phone or y'all part ways, and then you literally feel heavy all day. You feel like you just don't have any more energy to give anybody else, because just what they've dumped on you is physically so heavy that your body is like tired. You need to lay down, you want to take a nap. You're just, I don't know, you drive home in silence because you're just like, okay, I just don't even want to hear any more noise. I need peace and quiet because it just was so much, right? Another thing, and all of these habits kind of tie into each other. A lot of times, honestly, when you have friends that exhibit one of these traits, they exhibit at least 3 or 4 of these traits together, because most times what I found is sort of like a mindset, an overall mindset and personality, and it takes like a whole shift. Like it has to be like a whole mindset shift to really take people from these kind of behaviors into like more positive, uplifted, like just really just make them people that you overall really enjoy and look forward to being around, right? This next tip, this next character trait is a big red flag. And whereas a lot of these traits I've definitely like overlooked in the past, and I still do for sure, but obviously, like I said, I manage my time with it, so it's just not going to be excessive. But this one here is definitely a big red flag for me, and it is when you have those friends that just like never celebrate you. Like if it's a birthday or if it's just anything at all, they'll post other people but they don't post you. They let's say you've achieved like a really huge milestone, they don't ever congratulate you. If you share with them a big idea or something that you're super excited about, they're not even excited about it. They're almost just like trying to show you the things that could possibly go wrong. And it's almost like a lot of people would just be like, oh yeah, they're haters, which it definitely comes off like that, which it could be a little bit of that for sure. But I think a lot of times those people are just super insecure, and they're just so, they have really low self-esteem, same, and it makes them uncomfortable when they see you growing. I don't know why, but it really just makes them feel really intimidated, and it's almost like they're actually like incapable of celebrating you because they just don't have that type of energy to give, right? They're literally filled with negativity, and the Bible speaks about it, like people who have like evil stuff, they can only pour out evil. Like the Bible speaks about like judging a tree by its fruit. So if somebody just harbors a lot of negativity within them, you cannot expect them to show up like to be a ray of light for you. Like even if they love you a lot, that's why I said friends or family, because sometimes it's really the closest people to us, and it breaks our heart, and that's like most times why we're willing to tolerate, just because of who these people are. Sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a sibling, sometimes it's like it's your lover, right? And you're really just hoping that, oh my gosh, maybe they love me enough to really change these behaviors. But I promise you, unless these people work on themselves separate from you, like God allows God to really come in and they start doing the healing work, nothing that you do, there's no amount of you showing up for them, there's no amount of you always being there for them, you always allowing them to vent, to trauma dump, to just come to you repeatedly about the same thing over and over and over, asking for advice. And then when you give the advice, you realize like they never actually want a solution, they don't want to change. That's another like big red flag that I stay away from. If you come to me like once or twice about the same thing, and you know, I take my time out of my day to listen to you, I maybe pray for you, give you some scripture, like really encourage you on all that, you're agreeing with everything that I say on the phone, and then you walk away and go do the same thing that you just called me to talk about for hours, I don't want to hear it again. Like I literally do not want to hear it again. I just don't want to hear it again. Like these people are stuck in a place mentally. They are usually not progressing, and that's something you can definitely look out for. If you have a friend and there's like no growth, like you've known them for 5-6 years and they kind of still have the same habits they did when you met them, they had goals but they've not achieved any of those goals since then, they're stuck in probably like some toxic relationship, they have a lot of toxic cycles, they probably are surrounded by other toxic people, because I don't think this is in the Bible, but I know there's definitely a saying that says you are the sum of the 7 people that you hang around. If you are hanging around people and you are not the best person in the room, because like nobody's really better than anybody, but you are the most like emotionally mature person in the room, like you got the most going on for yourself out of everybody that you hang out with, you need to investigate that, okay? Because a lot of times we kind of surround ourselves with people who are doing not worse than us. I'm really trying to not offend anybody, but I hope y'all are getting what I'm saying. We surround ourselves with people who probably aspire to be where we are, and I don't know, it just gives us a sense of feeling important, right? It makes us feel like we're just like that go-to person for everybody, and you know, like they're gonna call you for advice, they're gonna call you to be that shoulder to lean on and everything, because they're looking at you as that spiritually mature person, that person who just has your ish together, that person is going somewhere in life. But that is so dangerous, because like I said about that saying, you're the sum of the 7 people you hang around. You should definitely want to surround yourself with people who are like ahead of you in life, like that you aspire to be like, that motivate you, right? Being around people who can only drain your energy, that take more than they give, will just always leave you feeling drained. If you, with any relationship in life, if you are not, it's not like reciprocation of like this person's pouring in, this person's pouring in, and then you're both able to pull from the basket, then what's gonna happen is that this person, while they're, you know, like putting into the relationship, you know, they're stacking up the basket, this person's just taking out of it. It's counterproductive. You realize like the cup is never gonna be full. You're never gonna walk away from an interaction with people like this feeling fulfilled or feeling motivated. In fact, this could really stifle you in life and could be the reason why you feel like you are just so stagnant. You have ideas and thoughts and stuff, but you just don't have the right people around to really push and motivate you, to pray with you, to like give you scripture and let you know that you know you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and that God says that he has so much in store for you, and that you know that you are blessed and highly favored, and you're like, you know what, yes, like go girl, like you can really show up for these people, but they cannot show up for you. Now I'm gonna kind of get into like some of the stuff that you need to kind of like watch out for, how to help you set boundaries. All right, some things that you can kind of like check yourself, a little bit of homework to help you really manage this well, is definitely checking yourself first. First and foremost, you should be going to therapy, because if you are surrounding yourself with people like this and you are allowing them to walk all over you and to just really just have no boundaries in place for these people, there's a reason why. And 9 out of 10 times it's also because you have a low self-esteem. It sounds a little bit harsh, but I promise you, when you go to therapy, you will realize that the root most times of your people pleasing is that you just don't see much value in yourself and your time. So you just allow people to waste your time, to just drain your energy. There's only 24 hours in a day, and you will spend 4, 5, 6 hours just around people you have no business being around. You have goals for yourself, and instead of like focusing on achieving those goals, you are just trying to be there and be everything for everybody at the same time. You're allowing people to just drink out of your cup and nobody's pouring any bit of water into it. You need to like love and care about yourself enough where you know that you are who God chose you to be, and you just know who you are. And when you know who you are and you have something valuable, right, you're not gonna allow it to be misused or mistreated. It's just like having a child. You love your child so much, you get aggravated when you see your child hanging around people that you could spot from a mile away, like that girl is not your friend, or that boy is not for you. Like, you do not have no business hanging around this person. You need to be the same way for yourself. You have to be able to step outside of your body and look at yourself the way God looks at you, in a loving manner, and really just see that the things that and people that you have in your life are just not serving you, and they are a hindrance. Now, you don't have to exactly just cut them off, because I mean, that's not who God called us to be. And you know, we just really are trying to not exhibit any like mean girl behavior. We want to be Christ-like, and I think the Christ-like thing to do is to definitely love these people and pray for them, but manage your time. So for example, if it's a relative or a loved one or a friend, right, that always calls you to vent, maybe not answer all the time. Don't be as available. If you're spending your time hanging out with all these people, make yourself busy. Find something productive to do, okay? If you actually don't have so much spare time on your hand, then you just physically won't have enough time to give, to allow people to drain your energy, right? Also, you need to practice a lot of self-care. The more you pour into yourself, the more it will help you to just fight that feeling of a low self-esteem and low self-worth and value. When you really take time to just love on yourself, it just makes you just like really appreciate yourself a lot more, and your time will just be occupied really making sure that your cup is full, right? The other thing, it kind of goes just like with the last one, is just you just have to prioritize yourself. A lot of people feel like that's selfish to just like put themselves first, but I mean, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So even as far as the people that you actually need to show up for, who cannot fend for themselves, like if you have kids and stuff like that who need you, if you spend all of your time and energy on people that will allow you to just be so drained, have low energy, low patience, all of that, that when you are interacting with your child afterwards, you're gonna just be so irritable, so aggravated, can't wait for it to be bedtime, you don't have any extra energy or patience or time to really give, and you just want to be in a bubble all by yourself, right? And that's not fair to your child. These adults, I promise you, will either move on to the next person and find some other person who can help them to soothe their emotions, but you don't need to be that person for them all the time. You don't need to just cut them off, but you just need to realize, hey, she just called me about this issue yesterday. Do you really need to be talking to her about the same thing again tomorrow? You don't. Another thing that you can do is to watch your behaviors. Like I said, you are the sum of the 7 people that you're around. So just by really being the type of person that you want your friends to be, you'll sort of your mindset shift will sort of just attract the people that need to be in your circle. Yeah, after a while, if you're really not getting into the same activities as the friends that you're hanging around, or you're not sitting on the phone like gossiping with people and they're gossiping to you and just allowing them to just like dump on you and you're feeding into it, they'll eventually get the point. They'll realize that they're not actually getting what they wanted out of the situation. So you just kind of have to just like not feed the beast, pretty much. And yeah, it'll just slowly like dissipate, if that's a word, but it'll just dwindle down. The interaction will just dwindle down naturally without there having to be a big falling out. There has to be no confrontation of you be like, hey, yeah, you drained my energy, I really don't want to talk to you much anymore. Just act differently and then they will get the point. Stop feeding into everything. If they call you about the same problem again, you can just politely be like, well, I already told you what to do and you seem uninterested in my advice, so there's nothing more that I have to say about that situation, right? It'll probably make them think, okay, yeah, and they'll feel probably awkward and they'll probably kind of like small talk you a little bit, and then they'll be like, all right, well, I'll talk to you next time, and then that will be the end of it, right? Also, you can politely like come up with things that you have to do if you feel like you are caught off guard in a situation like this. Like you're around somebody and maybe it started off great and then it just took a turn for it just took a downward turn, and it's just, you could just feel your energy being drained, but you don't want to just like walk away or start ignoring people, especially if this is a face-to-face interaction. You can just politely mention some other task that you have to do, to like, oh yeah, it was so great to see you, you know, like give me a call later or something like that, and you know, I gotta go pick up my kid, or I really gotta go do this, or you can fake a phone call, like whatever it is that you need to do. But definitely you should just pray about the situation. I feel like one prayer that God definitely answers, and really quickly, is when you ask him to remove people out of your life that do not need to be in your life. Again, of course, that's a more difficult thing to do when these people are your actual loved ones, like your family and stuff like that, and not just people you've met along the way. So yeah, just pray about it. Ask God to give you the wisdom of how to navigate these situations. And yeah, I'm wishing you guys all the best. I hope these tips help you. Just remember that you are definitely worth the changes that you need to make in your life. However you envision your life to be, the type of friendships that you see yourself having, if the ones that you have now don't look like those, then you need to make room to invite the people in your life that are meant to be there. Anyways, y'all, that's it for this video. Until next time. Bye.